Welcome to the Wilkinson Public Library with Cooks with Books. My name is Bud Thomas. Thanks for coming out. It's great to have all you here. This is the first of a series that we'll be doing with the community. What we're going to do is have people from the community, chefs in restaurants, or anyone in town who really likes to cook, pick out a cookbook from the library and pick a recipe in it, or two, and make something fun with the community and share a recipe with everyone. Today, since it's Cinco De Mayo, we have Jenna here. She's our guest chef cooker person, and she's going to do horchatas and guacamole, classic guacamole. I don't know what else I could say. If anyone has any questions, or we can get going. You want to get going? You want to
Sure.
Walk us through this?
Sure. Well, first let me start by telling you what it is about this book that I like, why I chose this book, because I'm a bookie in general. I love reading, I love books, and I particularly love cookbooks. One of the main reasons that I chose this cookbook is because Rick Bayless shares my food philosophy, and if you'll indulge me a moment, I want to read to you just one little paragraph from his introduction. He wrote that one of the reasons he wrote this book was because I want to engage as many people as I can in sharing fresh, honest food. Until the fairly recent past, our species has lived in a small, relatively self-sustaining community, sharing daily life with the same handful of folks in more or less the same place from birth to death. Without a second thought, we nourished ourselves with locally grown seasonal foods. All that has changed, and the ties that bound us to our families, communities, terrain, seasons, and food have in many cases weakened. I think that it is safe to say that a sense of disconnection or disenfranchisement permeates many lives. Just as we've had to learn to substitute planned physical exercise for the healthy exertion most of our ancestors experienced in everyday life, so, I believe, to be completely healthy, do we have to exercise our connection to the world we live in. Food provides the perfect medium for that. To me, that's my food philosophy. Honest food, local food, whole ingredients. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what Chef Bud and I are both passionate about. Another main reason that I chose this cookbook is that I love his setup. He has a fairly formal cookbook setup in that he goes from appetizers to mains to desserts, but within each chapter he starts off with what's considered the most classic. So for example, as an appetizer, it's guacamole. And so instead of just giving us the recipe for guacamole, he starts off with an introduction about guacamole. He explains all about it. Then he offers a classic recipe, and then a modern recipe, and then a Q&A section. And I think that's great because whenever we make recipes, we always have questions. You know, for example, in this one, he talks about the different varieties of avocados and what's the best one to make guacamole, and how do you store guacamole, and questions that the average person would have when they read a cookbook. And so I like that he offers that extra information. Above and beyond that, I like the fact that rather than just giving you a recipe and telling you how to make something, he explains to you how and why these recipes work. He explains, you know, the different subtleties of making a recipe. And so, to me, those were some of the great reasons that I chose this cookbook. So let's get started with classic guacamole. And so I need 3 avocados.
What kind of avocados did you recommend?
These are Hass avocados. That's actually exactly what he recommends. Hass avocados are like the most popular avocado in the United States. 90% of the avocado supply in the United States comes out of California, and 80% of those are Hass avocados. So the average time that you go to the grocery store to buy avocados, this is what you're going to find. In a specialty shop or in grocery stores that have more selection, you might find other varieties, but this is typically what you're going to find. For anybody who's not familiar with an avocado, the way to cut an avocado is you want to cut into it until you hit the pit, and then just circle your knife right around the avocado, and it twists off like that. It's pretty easy to do. I'm going to scoop out this pit. You can also, he actually recommends scooping out the pit. You can also just do that. It makes it a little bit easier. One thing that he does in his cookbook is he recommends pureeing the avocado. That's from what I understand and reading his book, it's a fairly classical Mexican technique.
Yeah, he mashes it with a masher.
Right. He talks about, in classic Mexican cooking, the avocado butter and pureeing avocado until it's the consistency of butter and making it like a flavored butter. I'm going to put my own twist on this recipe, and that is that I like to have chunks of avocado. I like to taste the avocado. So what I'm going to do is, instead of mashing it, I'm going to score it with this paring knife like this, and then go the other way.
Does everyone have a little bit of avocado with some guacamole? How is it?
Yes.
It is a good recipe.
And then I use my spoon and I can just scoop that right out of there and into my bowl. And see, it's coming out in these nice big chunks. When I mix it together with the rest of my ingredients, I'm going to get some of them to kind of puree a little bit and soften up a little bit, but those big chunks will remain. Can I get you to work cutting up the rest of those avocados there?
All right.
I just had a really quick question.
Yeah.
How do you, I'm always having a hard time figuring out when it's right, like when an avocado is...
If you squeeze it, it should just be starting to kind of yield under the pressure of your hands.
It's not really squishy.
If you can squish it too much, it's probably overripe.
Okay.
Also, if you shake it and you can hear the pit moving around in there, it's definitely going to be overripe.
Long gone.
You're looking for flesh. These are pretty nearly perfectly. The avocado flesh itself will push under pressure, but it's certainly not squishy.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm looking for.
What you really want to do is hold it to feel how soft it is.
Yeah.
Because if you squeeze it, you're in danger of bruising it, and then when it does get ripe,
You have black spots. Right. These ones are fairly green too. I'm surprised these were as soft and nice as they were, because they still have a little bit of green hue in the skin. Some more than others. These ones are all pretty dark, but so it's hard to tell by looking at them too, because these ones didn't look ripe to me. They looked pretty green still. So you make guacamole at home a lot?
I love guacamole. Actually, avocados might be my all-time favorite food. I could just take a spoon and eat this without anything on it.
So how close is Rick Bayless's recipe to what you'd normally do at home?
It's pretty close. I typically don't put onions in my guacamole. And also, I have 2 small kids at home, and so, to make it kid-friendly, I frequently make guacamole literally with just a squeeze of lime juice and some salt, because it's super kid-friendly to do that.
And it's still delicious.
It's still delicious. To me, I don't think avocado needs very much. I think that it's perfect in and of itself. So I'm not looking to mask the flavors of the avocado in any way. I'm looking to simply enhance it. So let me talk a little bit about what I've already done. Obviously, I don't have a full kitchen here, so I've pre-done a little bit. I had 2 serrano peppers, which I roasted last night in just in a dry pan. Tossing them every once in a while, looking for a little color on the outside, and then finally dice those. So I'm going to add those into there. 2 serranos is a little spicy, so if you're afraid of spice, you can cut that down, or you could substitute jalapenos. I'm also going to add about a half of a medium white onion, and this onion has already been diced, obviously, and rinsed under water. That just helps to free up that flavor to get when you mix it in with the avocado.
Then you get a nice crispy texture out of it, but it isn't overpowered in onion.
I've got 2 diced Roma tomatoes here. I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of cilantro.
Rick Bayless talked a lot about eating as local as possible and organic if possible. If we don't live in California, this is a pretty tough one to do local.
I'm also going to add some lime juice. I'm looking for about 2 tablespoons, which is about 1 lime. And so I'm just going to squeeze that right over the whole thing.
where did you get that exprimador?
I don't know where it came from.
I actually found this online as a gift for Chef Bud a while back.
It's funny, this one's for lemons, and we have a lime one. The lime one's only about that big around, because usually in Mexico they eat the really small limes that still have seeds in them. So this lemon one works better for the type of limes we traditionally use
So then I'm
here in
adding
the States.
salt, and I'm just going to toss that all together. Rick Bayless recommends that you make your guacamole about half an hour before you want to serve it. Some people believe you should make guacamole and serve it immediately. Other people believe that you need to let the flavors meld a little bit. And so he recommends refrigerating it for half an hour. And just as a side note, when if you do make guacamole in advance and you want to refrigerate it for a while, the best way to store it is to put saran wrap or cling film, covering it and don't put it in a Tupperware with a lid on it. You want the cling film to be directly on the surface. Squeeze out any excess air, because air is what causes the avocado to brown, and so you're trying to avoid that browning. So here's the guacamole.
That looks awesome.